Fans of Sister Wives criticize Robyn Brown's wasteful spending. Sister Wives viewers have always recognized that Kody and Robyn Brown are not the most financially smart people. While the other women wanted to have serious conversations about money management, they bought a beautiful mansion near Flagstaff. In season 19, Kody refused to buy Janelle's part of Coyote Pass, citing a lack of cash. Online, users have called for a forensic accountant to look into Kody and Robyn's spending habits. However, until that happens, Sister Wives viewers can only comment on what they see and speculate on the circumstances. Robyn's reckless spending has just come to light. Viewers can't believe how much money she spends on her personal collection. Robyn Brown's collectibles could cost a little fortune. Robyn Brown's credit card debt has been discussed on the show previously. But now, people have discovered her doll collection. Collectors value the dolls and their beautiful outfits, but they cost a small fortune. More dolls for Robyn, while the seller must make tons of money. She even custom lists dolls for Robyn, a Sister Wives fan wrote on Reddit. They included images of elaborate collectible dolls listed for many $100s. Robyn Brown's tailored outfit costs $275. Other Redditors commented that the price was only for the clothing. Adding a new doll to a collection would cost hundreds of dollars more. You can see at the bottom of some of the posts she tells customers not to purchase, because the doll is custom listed for Robyn, said the writer. I'm curious whether it implies the vendor is simply manufacturing things she thinks Robyn will like and marketing them before she even asks a new doll, or if Robyn requested that. If Robyn requested it, why bother listing it on Etsy and going through the effort of someone maybe purchasing it when you can just sell it to her directly? That's insane if the seller is basically praying to make money off Robyn by advertising dolls designed for her in purple and hope she likes them. Fans of Sister Wives slam the reckless spending. Other Redditors agreed that the hobby itself was not necessarily hazardous. They were, however, outraged that Robyn made such costly purchases without contributing to the family funds. Furthermore, many of the Brown family's children have openly discussed growing up in poverty. Robyn Brown, Sister Wives character on TLC's Sister Wives, exposes all secrets and vices. With a voice trembling with bitter regret and unbridled defiance, she describes the rotting core of the life she once promised to uphold, a life that, behind its carefully curated facade of family unity and spiritual devotion, had devolved into a cesspool of manipulation, betrayal, and unspeakable excess. Robyn recounts the early days of her marriage to Kody Brown as a time when she imagined that joining a polygamist family would result in an infinite supply of love and support. Instead, she depicts a well-staged charade in which looks were more important than truth. I was promised a fairy tale, she admits, her eyes brimming with both rage and sadness, but I soon discovered I was merely the newest pawn in a game of greed and control. According to her, behind every grin and contrived family reunion was a method for maintaining control over every money, every choice, and every silent cry. She goes on to explain how the sparkling promises of shared finances and mutual respect turned into a nightmare of backroom transactions and hidden deceptions. Robyn tells how Kody, with a smile as polished as his well-preserved look, would quietly execute financial machinations that left her scraping by. I watched in horror as money, our money, meant to build a home, to nurture our children, was siphoned off for lavish parties, expensive art, and even cosmetic procedures, she said. Every receipt, every bank statement, was a dagger in my heart, a reminder that I was expendable. The details in her story are almost grotesque. She describes how late-night phone calls revealed mysterious charges for items that made no sense, exotic foods delivered in bulk to a mansion that was supposed to be our sanctuary, or extravagant gifts that I never approved, all paid for with money I didn't even know I had. Robyn's indignation grows as she explains how manipulation permeated every part of her daily life. She describes how, behind closed doors, her thoughts were discarded with a sneer and her emotions were trivialized, as if she were nothing more than an accessory to Kody's grand plan. I was forced to smile through the pain, to pretend that every harsh word, every sneer from my fellow wives, was just part of the family dynamic, she recollects cruelly. But inside, I was crumbling. The lady who once believed in the purity of her marriage now describes a steady, corrosive decline in her self-esteem, a process hastened by frequent comparisons to her ex-wives, who appeared to have mastered the art of deception far better than she could. As the story progresses, Robyn reveals even more unpleasant details. In what she terms her most disgusting moment, she describes a night when a covert dinner party was hosted behind the gleaming doors of their large Flagstaff estate. Cody had invited numerous key members of the family's close circle as part of a celebratory toast. However, what was supposed to be a night of fellowship suddenly turned into a horrific display of dominance. I witnessed Cody laughing as he detailed how he'd manipulated the family funds to pay for his own indulgences, Robyn tells me. He boasted about buying expensive gifts for his new mistress, me, while simultaneously leaving the rest of us to shoulder the burden of debt. The scene is depicted in vivid, revolting detail. Silver plates packed with lavish meals were served alongside whispered chats about hidden bank transfers and falsified invoices, all while I sat there feeling smaller and more unimportant by the minute. Her confession takes an even darker turn as she confesses the breadth of the personal betrayals that haunted her. Robyn tells how, over time, she was methodically separated from true assistants. I was never allowed to have real friends, she continues, her voice rising in outrage. Every relationship I tried to build outside the family was sabotaged by subtle, poisonous suggestions that I wasn't good enough, that I would only bring shame upon our household. According to her, every time she ventured to seek assistance or solace, whether through a casual talk with a neighbor or a moment of vulnerability with a compassionate stranger, she was met with chilly looks and muttered warnings that some secrets were best kept hidden. The isolation was more than just emotional, it was practical. She describes how she was banned from pursuing any career prospects or interests that may distract her from her role in the family, trapping her in an ever-increasing cycle. One such memory is of a clandestine meeting held in the dead of night, where Cody, in a moment of premeditated cruelty, demanded that she change her appearance in order to compete with the other wives. I was told that if I didn't change the way I looked, I would be replaced, she says, her voice tinged with loathing and sadness. They thought I wasn't attractive enough, nor was I young enough. I had to have treatments and fillers, whatever it took to suit the ideal. The admission is stunning not just because it is so invasive, but also because it reveals the cold, transactional foundation of their relationship, a relationship built not on love, but on an insatiable desire for control and affirmation. As her story reaches its climax, Robyn reveals the ultimate cost of a life founded on deception. She describes the never-ending loop of apologies and recriminations that shaped her every day. I was forced to swallow my pride, to keep saying sorry for things that weren't my fault, she says, tears flowing down her cheeks as she recalls the numerous nights of weeping herself to sleep. I was trapped in a loop of humiliation and degradation, always having to prove that I was still worthy of his attention, of his love. In a final, gut-wrenching moment, she admits that the most disgusting aspect of it all was how the entire family had become complicit in her suffering, every member, from the children who were too young to understand to the ex-wives who had once promised solidarity, had turned a blind eye as I was reduced to nothing more than a prop in Cody's twisted narrative. The visceral cruelty of her admissions is heightened by the awareness that, after years of pain and disgrace, no one had ever actually listened. I was screaming into a void, she explains. I poured out my heart in hidden writings, and whispered phone conversations that were never intended to be heard, but no one cared. They all pretended everything was fine, but within I was decaying. This crushing isolation, the experience of being completely alone in a sea of planned lies, makes up the final, most sickening chapter of her memoir. It is a story that exposes not only the deceit and cruelty of a single marriage, but the systemic decline of an entire institution that once promised to be revolutionary. By the end of the confession, the viewer is left with the strong conclusion that Cody's grand experiment came at the cost of human ruin. Every sickening detail, every sordid secret revealed by Robyn is a stinging indictment of a lifestyle predicated on exploitation and emotional cruelty, no matter how exalted on television. In her own final words, she says, "I am done. I will no longer be a prisoner in a house of lies." And with that, the tell-all, raw, unfiltered, and completely revolting, ends. As the screen fades to black, the viewer is forced to confront a cruel but unavoidable truth. The most shocking revelations do not always come from the outside, but from within. In the case of sister wives, the most repulsive secrets were buried in plain sight, behind smiles, in a stunning display of opulence that appears completely disconnected from his mounting financial woes. The polygamist patriarch splurged on a brand-new, gleaming Mercedes, a purchase that many are now calling a final, extravagant gasp in a saga of mismanagement and betrayal. Cody's decision to invest in a high-end automobile has sparked a firestorm of controversy among critics and ex-wives, particularly Janelle and Mary, who have long been embroiled in bitter legal and financial battles over their share of the marital assets. For years, Cody's ability to manage his enormous family's complex finances, spanning many homes, businesses, and a variety of investments, was viewed as a credit to his resourcefulness. However, rumors in hushed tones and revelations on fan sites now indicate that his coffers are far from overflowing. Rather, they have been severely depleted by years of excessive spending and poor financial decisions. The Mercedes, with its polished chrome exterior and plush interior, is a garish symbol of vanity, a magnificent chariot purchased not out of necessity, but in a desperate attempt to maintain an image of prosperity as a once unified kingdom falls around him. According to insiders, the money utilized for this expensive buy was taken from reserves that were originally intended to settle long overdue payouts to his ex-wives, Janelle and Mary. Both women, previously part of the polygamous relationship that typified the sister wives movement, have subsequently engaged in lengthy legal fights to regain assets they believe were illegally withheld. Janelle's departure was defined by a mix of rebellious independence and sadness, and she has been particularly public about her financial concerns. Mary, the meticulous planner who was once considered the glue that held the family together, had long expected a large payout, one that would secure her financial future and avenge years of sacrificing her personal aspirations. However, as Cody's recent Mercedes purchase demonstrates, he looks eager to continue living in the lap of luxury, even while his bank account struggles to handle the mounting costs of divorce settlements and asset divides. The story, put together from leaked documents and anonymous confessions, depicts a guy entangled in a web of his own creation. Financial records apparently show that Cody set aside a little reserve to smooth over the anticipated payouts to his past wives, a fund that has now been critically depleted as a result of the sudden Mercedes purchase. "It's like seeing someone rip off a bandage too soon," one anonymous insider reportedly said. Cody thought that by flaunting his wealth with this car, he could distract everyone from the mounting evidence that his finances are in shambles. The irony of the situation is almost palpable. While the Mercedes sparkles in the Arizona sun, its gleaming exterior conceals a seriously difficult financial condition that threatens to bring the entire Brown enterprise to its knees. Critics have highlighted the contrast between Cody's lavish purchase and the sad reality of his current duties. Janelle and Mary, formerly admired for their roles in maintaining the family's sophisticated network of shared assets, are now embroiled in protracted legal disputes with a guy who appears increasingly unconcerned about their claims. Legal experts circulating on social media platforms claim that Cody's inability to secure sufficient monies to settle these disputes is a devastating indictment of his financial management, or, more accurately, incompetence. "He's playing a dangerous game," one analyst stated. "Every time he splurges on something like a Mercedes, he's one step closer to defaulting on his obligations." The stakes, it seemed, are higher than ever. Janelle and Mary's payment demands have grown over the years, spurred by unresolved grievances, disguised bank statements, and allegations of siphoning monies. Now, with his most recent acquisition depleting funds that could have been utilized to meet these needs, Cody finds himself on the verge of a financial crisis he cannot escape. The story, in many respects, represents a wider, more systemic failure. For decades, Cody Brown was regarded as the provider, a man whose seemingly limitless money enabled him to maintain a complex, varied family structure that defied traditional conventions. But behind the surface, there has long been a simmering issue. The extravagant lifestyle he maintained was based on flimsy foundations, relying not on actual riches, but on a steady stream of borrowed money, dubious investments, and an ever-increasing spiral of debt. The Mercedes, as a luxury emblem, is the latest in a long line of financial excess. It's a calculated statement, a means for Cody to express his identity and retake the spotlight, even while his financial situation unravels in slow motion. This isn't just about the car, an insider explained. It's about delivering a message that he's still in charge, that he's the one who constructed this entire family. But the truth is that his empire is that turns heads on Flagstaff Street. His ex-wives, Janelle and Mary, are embroiled in a heated fight over money meant to ensure their futures after their marriage ended. Janelle, whose once prominent role in the family has lessened over time, is now battling for every dime she believes she is entitled to. Mary, the one who diligently recorded every expense and asset, is furious that Cody's reckless spending has left her with nothing except promises and legal fights. Their demands, which have risen in size over the years, constitute not simply a financial claim but also a symbolic rejection of a way of life that has left them feeling misled and undervalued. As news of Cody's Mercedes traveled through the grapevine of reality TV gossip and online forums, the public reacted quickly and harshly. Photographs of the car flooded social media, its clean lines and opulent finishing in stark contrast to photographs of the once unified family, which is now fragmented by lawsuits and financial problems. "He's so busy buying fancy cars that he can't even pay out his ex-wives," one person tweeted, while another reflected, "It's like he's chosen vanity over responsibility." The jokes, hashtags, and never-ending stream of discussion all pointed to one indisputable truth: Cody's priorities are out of sync, and his extravagant spending is the final nail in the coffin of a once invincible financial system. Legal specialists believe that unless Cody can find extra funds or renegotiate the compensation terms with Janelle and Mary, the implications from this acquisition could be far-reaching. The Mercedes is more than a car, it represents a man who has lost touch with the responsibilities of family leadership. And as the legal disputes intensify, the possibility of a catastrophic financial collapse becomes more real. "We're watching a slow-motion train wreck," one analyst stated. One expensive purchase after another, and his debts would inevitably catch up with him. It's only a matter of time before he has to liquidate everything, at which point there will be nothing left for anyone. This fictional exposé, dripping with the raw, sensational detail that has come to define tabloid journalism, depicts Cody Brown as a tragic figure, a man whose desperate need to project an image of success has blinded him to the crumbling reality of his financial obligations. The Mercedes, in all its pricey magnificence, serves as a flashy reminder of an unsustainable and ultimately self-destructive lifestyle. And when former spouses Janelle and Mary prepare to take legal action, demanding the payouts they have long been promised, the Brown family's legacy is jeopardized. Finally, Cody's decision to buy a premium car represents a much deeper tragedy. It's a moment that combines years of misguided priorities, emotional betrayal, and financial irresponsibility into one shocking act of excess. The bright shine of the Mercedes contrasts painfully with the dark reality of mounting debts and broken promises, a reality that, if not addressed, could spell the end not only of his financial empire but also of the dream of a cohesive, united family that once captivated millions of viewers on Sister Wives. As the cameras continue to roll and the drama plays out on television screens across the country, one thing is clear: in the world of reality TV, where every expense is scrutinized and every misstep magnified, Cody Brown's purchase of a Mercedes is not a sign of success, it is the final, resounding note in a symphony of decline. Janelle and Mary can't avoid the sour taste of treachery anymore. The costly car demonstrates that, while Cody may continue to pursue the idea of grandeur, his financial house of cards is going to crumble under the weight of its own excess.